Welcome to Sports Charlotte. I'm your host, Ashley Mahoney, and today we have a first-time guest with us, North Carolina head coach Paul Riley. Paul, thank you so much for joining me today.
Anytime. Glad to be here.
So it's been, not quite a year since, we had a nice chat about Crystal Dunn and her success with the national team last year, winning the World Cup. And it seems like just yesterday we were talking about that, having the team here playing at Bank of America Stadium, but so much has happened in the last 9-10 months. It seems like we're living in a different world almost. So let's dive right into it. You are currently on the heels of an announcement about a contract extension with the club. Talk to us a bit about that process and the decision that, this is where you want to stay, this is where you want to continue to build as a head coach.
Yeah, I think obviously, 5 years is quite long. 1 year in Buffalo and 4 years in Carolina. But it's hard to leave a team like this. When we started with them, they were 22 years old. Most of them are 27 now. So I feel like the team's got another couple of years left in them yet. And I think we wanted to stay together as a group. I think there were a lot of them made decisions to stay and sign long-term contracts. And really that was the push for me to sign a long-term contract, to be perfectly honest with you. I think if everybody wanted to change and wanted something different, then maybe that would have been the same for me. But it's been a great club. We've got great ownership, and we got a great fan base here in Carolina. And I think for us to stay, we've been decently successful, obviously, the team. So I think it's important that we can keep the group together. And, everybody's on at least 2-year contracts at this point. So, yeah, I'm looking forward for another 2 years, and then we'll see what brings after that. I mean, obviously, there's some great options in Europe, and there's some great options in the States too. But it's a special club. It's a special group of players. And I think anytime you get a special group, and I've called them a lot, once in a lifetime type team. So I think you got to take it all away, give it your best shot, and then if we get bored after a year, then we think about it. But I think we've got enough respect for each other, and we want to achieve more things. I think we're still not where we would like to be. I still think we can improve and be even better. So that's our goal, and that's every player's goal. And a lot of them want to make their national teams, whether it be the US or whether they're from Ireland or other countries, and they want to get on their national teams. And our job is to provide an environment where they can, and that's the ultimate goal of us guys and the entire staff, is to make sure that we have the best place to train, the best environment, and the culture second to none. And hopefully they can dangle a carrot at the national team for all the US players for sure.
You participated in what a lot of people would call the relaunch of sports in this country amid COVID-19, with the earlier competition this spring. But now you're looking toward a fall season that starts on September 5th. And again, I can't believe that our paper comes out every Thursday, and today was our last August edition. So the next one will be September 3rd. And 2 days after that, on September 5th, things will begin for the NWSL again. You're playing in the South alongside Orlando Pride and Houston Dash. Talk to me a bit about, the preparation that's going into preparing for that competition after, a really unique 2020 so far. And we're still not done with it, but it has certainly been a unique year.
Yeah, listen, the Challenge Cup was great. Because it was cup games, and I think players need cup games to improve. The pressure of having to win the game is good, so cup ties are good. But at the end of the day, you can only be a champion if you can get through 24 to 26 games in a full season. That's a true champion to me. And so we're building for next year. We look at next year as the most important part, 21. The fall series is great for us. We get to play some younger players. We get to play against two very good sides, and obviously we get some home games, which we haven't played yet. I think the team's excited. I do think you need an end game anytime you're training. So I was really happy, to be honest with you, to get the news that we're going to play some games, and it just adds a little bit of bite to practice, and you need to have bite in practice. If you can't compete in practice, you can't improve. And so now that we have that, we have games coming up. I think the fall series will be fun. It's 2 home games, 2 away games. We'd like more games, but obviously with everything going on in the world, it is what it is. But the team's training unbelievable. We've had 2 great weeks of preseason already, getting ready. Our 3rd preseason, I'll have you know. But it's not these aren't cup games like the Challenge Cup. So I like that experience. But the Challenge Cup, we won 4 games. I think we won the most games there, and we got knocked out in the quarterfinals. So I think it's good for us. Houston won it, and that's who we're playing. I think that's a good little thing for us to look forward to play. And obviously, we've sent a lot of players on loan to Europe and to other places. And so I think our squad isn't as deep as it normally is, but that's the exciting part about it. Being able to have some fresh faces, fresh looks, and we've changed a lot of things around. Been working on individual player programs, working on different formations, and just doing some some of the things a little bit differently this time, just because it is the third preseason that we've had. And, we've got 6-7 weeks together before we start preparing for 2021. And that's all we're doing, really. And if we thought it was better for players to go on loan for 2021, we put them on loan. If we thought it better they stayed with us, we kept them with us. So I think it's whatever suited the players. That's the most important piece, is the player and getting the most out of the player and the most development opportunities for the player. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. Looking forward to competition. Obviously, when you're in a professional atmosphere, you want competition, no matter where it is, and we're excited for that. Looking forward to it.
And not only has this year been unique because you're dealing with the pandemic and juggling multiple preseasons, but there's also the heightened attention toward social justice, particularly yesterday with the Milwaukee Bucks sparking a fire, if you will, across professional sports, of saying, not deciding not to play and rather placing the emphasis on social justice. And I know that players, whether they're currently with the club or they've gone on, for instance, Sam Ewis, but they've called a great deal of attention towards social justice over the last several months. Is that something that you've had a chance to discuss with the team over the last 24 hours or so? Is that something that you'll have a chance to speak with them today about?
Yeah, to be honest with you, we haven't spoke about it today. Obviously, we have been speaking about it a lot, especially prior to Utah and in Utah and post Utah. But we haven't spoken about it this morning, to be honest with you. It only happened last night, and we went straight into practice this morning. We have a second practice this afternoon, but we'll probably address it tomorrow. I think it's important. These players have big voices and they're big role models in society, and a lot of them understand what's going on in society. And to be honest with you, I've been a great listener for them, because I want to find out about this stuff. I can't answer those questions sometimes, and they can answer the questions, and they do know the inequality of life, and I want to hear from them, because I think it opens my eyes, and then I can open other people's eyes. So that's kind of what the conversation's been had, and it's been really educational for me, I have to be honest with you, over the next couple of months, and over the last couple of months with Lynn Williams and Crystal Dunn and Jess McDonald and all the team participating and collaborating and talking about social justice. And we don't want it to stop. I don't think it's something where it just turn the tap on and turn the tap off, And I think, Bill Russell of 1961, I think was the last time a game wasn't played, up until last night, for social injustice. So we haven't come that far, I guess, in 50 years. So I think it's important that we continue the discussions about it, and players are at the forefront of those discussions. And we certainly will, as a team, discuss it and continue to discuss. I don't think it's, comes into conversation, goes out of conversation. I think it has to be in the conversation. And the team's been great, in all fairness, and we talk about these things, and we're an open group. I think we've always had a nurturing type of atmosphere where you can say whatever you want. You can ask whatever question you want. You can collaborate on whatever you want. And I think that's the focus of a good team, and we'll continue to do that, both from a social point of view and from a soccer perspective.
In addition to that, you mentioned players like Lynn Williams, Jess McDonald, and seeing their contract extensions. What about them made you say, these are players that need to be signed, and they need to have a longer future here with the Courage?
Yeah, I've been with Jess for a long time. I had Jess in Portland and in Buffalo, and then obviously down here. And Jess has impacted the club enormously, not just on the field, but off the field. But she's improved dramatically on the field, and it's like a good wine. She's just getting better and better. And obviously, you've got to call up to the national team. And I think her intelligence level is really good as a forward. She knows how to run. She's savvy. Good on the ball, but she's explosive, great around the net, knows how to run the penalty box. So she's had a lot of layers to her game, and I think it was important. And it's funny because people say, "Oh, she's reached 30, she's going to slow down," but she actually hasn't slowed down. She's got stronger, better, more intelligent on the field. Great leader for the group, both in the locker room and outside. And what an improvement. Lynn Williams, and I'm glad Jess has signed a new contract. Lynn Williams was really important for the club to get a new contract. Lynn's the way she's involved has been unbelievable for me, and it's been massive. It's not, I couldn't say a small improvement. She's continued to improve. She's got to call up to the national team now, and I think she adds some pieces. She's the best player in the league at stretching teams, but she's become a player that can now receive balls underneath teams. She can go behind if she wants to go behind. She can run lines if she wants to run lines. Again, another player that's improved technically, working on a finishing, which I think she would agree is the one place that we want to get her better. We want the game to slow down for her, and she's got a mindset which is unbelievable for me. And to have the two of them back, they're fierce together, and they're great friends, obviously, off the field as well. And they've been fantastic with our younger players too. And Lynn's got a great future. I think Lynn will play in the next Olympics, will play in the next World Cup. And to have her under contract for 3 more years makes my life a little bit easier, that's for sure. And we've done it with Dabinia too. Dabinia's under a long-term contract. Sullivan just signed a contract. So we're making sure everybody's under contracts. And, we want to keep the group together. It's an exciting group. And Lynn and Jess have been obviously a focal point of that group for the last 4 years. And, when I first met them in Buffalo, or first met Lynn in Buffalo, she was, 22 years old. And it's a meteoric rise for me, and to watch their game improve so much. And I'm hoping they can continue. I think there's still plenty of room for improvement. There's no ceiling for these two. So don't bet against Jess for the next World Cup either in 3-4 years. I think she might have a chance there too. So I just want to keep them improving, keep getting an environment where they can. And that's really our main goal.
And I know that, Jess has been involved with the local women's soccer program here in Charlotte, one of the local programs here in Charlotte, the Charlotte 49ers, during this interim, and just speaking with that program, about her experiences and the struggles that she's had to overcome. I mean, when you talk about fighting for what you want and just the epitome of perseverance, I don't know if you can go any further than Jess McDonald. What about her story? And like you said, just refusing to slow down even though she's 30. What about her story just makes not just women, but people who are pursuing something say, you know what, go for it. Just, you may have that point where, like, whether it's injury, whatever it happens to be, and just say, all right, maybe it's time to step away. And she kept going. And now she's not only a league winner, she's a world champion.
I think it's funny because people talk about the journey woman of soccer, and Jess is one of them. She's been around a lot of clubs, and she's found a home with us with me for the last 7 years, but certainly with this club for the last 5 years. And we talk about moral-based values and things like being engaging and caring and unselfish and appreciative and patient and respectful, and Jess ticks all the boxes. And then you talk about performance-based. You talk about being hardworking and competitive and resilient and positive and focused and accountable and enthusiastic. And she ticks all those boxes. And she's invested a lot into her own self, I think. And she does a lot outside of the game for everybody. She's the only soccer mom on the team, so you got to give her credit for that too. But she's invested in what we're doing, and she's made other people be accountable, and other people invest in what she's done. And I give probably Jess more credit than any other player on the team for what she's come through. A lot of injuries, having a baby young, been able to bring a kid through this league is not easy. I go home and I get to go to the pool and relax in the afternoons, and she's going home to play with her kids, which is brilliant for her. But, she's got a fantastic mentality. And, when you embrace the organization's core values, I always say Jess brings a lot of core values to the group. And whether they're moral-based or performance-based, she understands what it's like to be a professional. And I think the one thing out of everything that she's improved on, since I knew her in Portland 5, 6, 7 years ago, is a mentality and a mental state and a mental strength, and what she adds to other players on the team. I think sometimes as you get older, you realize it's not just about you, it is about other people. And the better you make other people around you, the better you're going to be. And she's been able to do that. And what a player, what a person Jess is. And if you can get, I say to any college, if you can get her to do a Zoom call with any college or any youth team or anything, she's the one to grab hold of, because she's got a great story. It's a fabulous story. And I hope for her, that it can end with an Olympics or a World Cup, and that would be fantastic. She already got a World Cup, but Olympics would be an amazing finish for her. And I wouldn't count her after the next World Cup, as I said before. She has a true belong in North Carolina. She played here, obviously in college too. So I think she'll spend the rest of her life here, and she's got a lot to add to the community too.
We've spoken toward some of the veterans and the leaders on the team, but tell us a bit about some of the younger players. Is there anyone who stood out particularly during the World Cup, or anyone who you're looking to make a big splash over the next couple of months in the upcoming 18 matches?
Yeah, I think that the most important thing for us was the main challenge, right? We got a new challenge on our hands. We're missing, 10 players from the roster. They've gone abroad. And so these younger players have a fantastic opportunity. And I think Lauren Millet, who's a player we drafted 2 years ago, she's really come into her own. And I think having Dabinia as probably the best midfielder in the world in the 10 position, having her to look at, and I told her, just keep watching everything she does, how she moves, how she's so good in space, how she finds space, how she manipulates space, and how good she is on the ball, and how her runs are behind back fours. And so Lauren's been really a major piece for us in this funny season that we've had in 2020. But she's been great. And Addie Merrick is another one of our draft picks from last last year, in February. And she's been fabulous too for us. Came in, played every game when we were away in Utah, and is a bona fide starter for us. And I think she was the 28th pick in the draft. So, these players are important to come through the draft. And I think she's really developing nicely. And again, Addie will be a massive piece for us. I think Carrie Riccara deserves a mention. She's a journeywoman in the league too. Played in Houston, but has come here and developed the game. And as another player to me that's going to get this opportunity to play in the six without Sullivan and Sam Ewis being around, and she'll do well for us. And she's got all the ingredients of a fabulous midfielder. And again, another player has good leadership qualities, and not a young player. Played for me when she was a young lady, and I think she's added a lot of pieces to her. And we've tried to get them out of the comfort zone with some formation changes, and I think that's good for everybody. The goalkeeping competition is really good. We've got 3 great goalkeepers. They're pushing each other. And, Haley Harbison's coming off an ACL injury, and Utah came a bit early for her, but now she's in really good form and expected to play in the fall series. And a shout out to Ryan Williams too. Who's a fullback for us, who, again, another draft, the last pick in the draft. And, her and Hamilton are the only 2 last picks in the draft that are still in the league. And they were both the last picks in the draft. And Kristen Hamilton's a bona fide starter for us, and she'll play every minute probably in the fall series. And Ryan Williams too. She's been exceptional in preseason. So, yeah, I'm delighted. No fairness. I mean, everything we ask of them, they give us, and we've asked them to improve their games. That's the important part of it, and that's the only important part. And marginal gains in every piece of game they have will make them better players, and that's their goal. Get those little bit of improvements, marginal gains, and improve your game. And at the end of this 6 weeks, when we look back at our player improvement program, how much better have you got? Because 2021 is just around the corner, and hopefully we'll have a season. Hopefully it'll be something that we've all got out of our comfort zones during this year. I mean, 2020 will be celebrated, the demise of 2020, to get out of here and get to 2021, and let's hope 2021 better. But we've focused on a lot of different things. We've got a good mission, I think, inside the club with our identity, and self-esteem for the players is important. And there's been a tough mental year for a lot of these players, but they've been hanging in there, and they've been really focused on just general improvements. And we're a traditional club. We have a lot of traditions that we've gained over these last 4 years, and keep those traditions and add traditions to them, add layers to our game, both on and off the field. And that's what I want them to do, and that's what they've really been doing, to be honest with you.
Well, last but certainly not least, before I let you head off to training, tell me about your favorite among those traditions that have developed over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, you're better off asking them. Some they like, some they don't like. It's a hard-working team, and I say all along, players don't decide their futures; they decide their habits, and their habits decide their futures. And they've all got amazing habits, and I think the accountability of the group is probably the most important thing that we bring. And the locker room's an important place, and we don't have the luxury that some of these great clubs in the world have, Manchester City and Liverpool and teams like this, but there's something special in the locker room, and I think that's the most important part. But a tradition, we always tell a joke before practice. You have to start practice with a joke, and as simple as something, you might laugh at that, but it's just something that breaks the ice and gets everybody ready to play. And yeah, I just think we've really done a lot of great things. When we go away from home, with Panera and pancakes has always been our big thing. When we've been on the road, that's an important ingredient. In the old days, I used to pick the menu, chicken, rice, and all that rubbish. And now we've come down to letting players eat what they want to eat. They understand what it's like to be a good professional. Because we've had them for so long, they've all become great professionals, man. They've really learned and expanded the horizons. And when they say they want Panera and pancakes, who am I to argue with that? Are you kidding me? I ordered the chicken noodle soup, get a sandwich, and off we go. And that's what our pre-games turned into. And the last 2 years, I think we've lost 4 or 5 away games out of 28 or something like that. So we've become good on the road, and that was something that we changed a couple of years back. And we can still make great changes. I want to make changes while we're on top, not while we're sliding. So it's important we make the changes and become even better. And if that's food, if that's medical, if that's equipment, if that's field conditions, if that's coaching staff, if that's anything, we'll make those changes and try and give them an opportunity to be better and use the tools that we've got in our environment.
And before I let you go, I say you start every practice with a joke. Who's the best jokester on the team?
Yeah, I've got a good joke. Our joke this morning was, why aren't fish good at basketball?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Because they can't get near. They don't want to get near the net.
That's a good one. That is a perfect one to end on. I know, hey, you have to rush on to, but I really appreciate you taking time to join us on your very first episode of Sports Charlotte. We will have to do it again soon. Much success with the upcoming season. And hopefully, once everything is over with this pandemic, we'll be able to make that trip up 85 or 40 or however you get from Charlotte to Cary. We'll
Yeah.
make it
Come on up.
Yes.
Listen, we represent North Carolina, not just Raleigh. We represent North Carolina. We want everyone in North Carolina to love our team. So get everybody to come and watch. Thanks again. Appreciate it. Stay safe, everybody.
Likewise. Appreciate you, Coach.